They created the 7 heavens where the gods now reside. But did you know there was also
7 hells?
6 of these hells and heavens are associated with one of the 6 elements, with a final super astral heaven and super umbral hell. Astral being aligned with light and umbral with darkness. This final super heaven and super hell ruled over all the other heavens and hells respectively. But let's get to know each of the gods a little more. Let's chart out their relation with each other and talk about the heaven and hell they co-rule. Also, because astrologian is very, very connected to the 12 gods, we'll learn which card is associated with which heaven's gate. We'll do this all by splitting the gods into their elements, starting with... So, this section was really long and really boring. Got through half of it in the editing, but I just couldn't stand it. I also really couldn't figure out how to salvage it. Some cut down all that sweet dense lore stuff into this single briefer segment here. Anywho, there are 12 gods. Alfiak the Keeper, Nofika the Matron, Nuldfal the Traders, Azima the Warden, Ralger the Destroyer, Baigot the Builder, Osyon the Wanderer, Limlane the Navigator, Nemia the Spinner, Thaliak the Scholar, Menfina the Lover, and Halone the Fury. Now, there are also 12 months in a year on the Eorzean calendar, as shown here. There are 6 elements: earth, fire, lightning, wind, water, and ice, with 2 gods being aligned to each of the elements. Now, the astrologian job has 6 cards known as the Major Arcana. These are the 6 cards you use on the jobs, when not counting the 2 minor Arcana cards of the Lord and Lady. Each of these 6 cards are associated with a gate to one of the 6 heavens. So, how does all this fit together? Like this. The gates run reverse on the Eorzean calendar, with each 2 months being aligned astrally and umbrally, light and dark, to one of the 6 elements right after the other, with one god having one of the months as their own. I thought it was pretty neat how this all fits together like this. As for how the gods are related, here's a graph, taken from the first page of Google, one of the wikis. I linked to the source in the description as I did not make this. I just added some missing bits to it. Now, what about these 7 heavens and 7 hells I mentioned? Well, each of the heavens are created with a characteristic of the gods in question, and is filled with people who most closely displayed the characteristics of said god. For example, Thaliak is aligned with water, and is the god of knowledge, so the heaven of water is partially his. He just shares it with Nemia the Spinner, the other water-aligned god. This heaven is thought to be a river where scholars, inventors, and teachers live along its banks. But each heaven also has a corresponding hell. The hell is, well, just that, a hell that is aligned in the same element as the heaven. It runs in the complete opposition of what the god teaches. So, Thaliak and Nemia's water prison is this murky, stagnant pool of water. Here is where deceivers, counterfeiters, scammers, and false prophets forever drown but cannot die. So, the Heaven of Wind is a mountain next to an ocean, because Ocean created the mountains, and Limlane created the oceans, these two being the wind-aligned gods. Explorers and adventurers live on this mountain heaven. The Hell of Wind is a craggy canyon where pirates, bandits, and defilers of the ocean and lands have their flesh ripped from their bones constantly by the raging winds. Funny fact here though, I found it really hilarious that Limlane, the god that is the patron deity of Limsa Limenza, you know that pirate city? She really hates pirates. It's very clear that pirates are sent to the Wind Hell for their actions, yet the city of pirates still worship her. But yeah, the rest of the heavens and hells follow the exact same thing. Heaven of Fire, owned by Naldfall the Trader and Azima the Warden. It's literally a golden city filled with riches where fair traders and philanthropists live. The Hell of Fire, a ruin that is literally on fire, where people sent there are now also on fire. Everything is on fire. Heaven of Ice, a giant ice palace where knights and heroes drink and be merry as if they're kind of in Valhalla, constantly talking of their heroic deeds with Helone. Hell of Ice, a place where cowards, deserters, and adulterers are stuck onto icicles, freezing to death, but again, cannot die. Why adulterers? Because Minfina the Lover is the other ice-aspected god, and she really doesn't like adultery, which I also found really funny, because she's the god of all the moon kitties. I kinda think she doesn't know what happens in the Uldar Inn in the Crystal server. But yeah, that's the gods, their relations, and how their heavens and hell works. Now let's cut back to the previous audio. Fun fact about people who go to one of the heavens or hells. Good people will either go to their patron deity's heaven, or the heaven that they most closely displayed the virtues of, which, more often than not, is their patron deity's heaven. The wicked people, though, well, we kinda just described where they go, but, interestingly, at least believed by some people, there is a final potential redemption arc they can go through. An evil person will fall to the hell that corresponds most closely to the sins they committed in life. Once they have suffered for an eternity for their sins there, time, I suppose, working differently, with eternity actually having a limit, the sinner is then forced to travel through all the remaining 5 hells, and witness and feel the sins of all the other evil men and women. After their grueling travel, they will arrive at the gate to the 7th heaven and hell. Here their hearts are weighed by the gods. If their heart is found to be heavy with sorrow, regret, and repentance for what they did, they will be forgiven, and the gate to heaven will open to them. If, on the other hand, their heart is found to be light, the gate of the 7th hell will open to them, where they will be tossed down to suffer forevermore, having pineapples probably shoved right up there.
You're serious.
Well, okay. We know of the gods, we know of their histories, we know their heavens and hells, and we know how screwed up their relationships are. But how do you choose which one deity above all the others will be your patron deity? Well, quite simply, a person's choice of a patron deity is generally influenced by the person's origin, their homeland, race and clan, their name day. Yes, the day and month someone is born in generally factors into the god they worship, each god having a month after all. Or a person would pick a god depending on their occupation in life. So really it's either pick whatever god calls to you the most, or pick the god that you think is assigned to you by fate, sort of thing. Lastly, let's very briefly talk about the Saints of the 12. These guys apparently appear in many different places in the Eorzean society. But for you adventurers, where do you see these guys? Well, they always appear when you undertake a leave quest. I don't know how many of you actually pay attention or have even noticed this little picture on top of the leave you pick up. All of these are actually depictions of the various saints of the 12 gods. There are a total of 28 saints on the leaves plates, all of which, by the way, have a really fun different story behind them. So, final fun fact, the leaf plates on the first are completely different. Though I doubt this is very surprising to anyone. The first being a completely different world and all, so, you know, it's expected. There's a lot more about the gods we can go over, but I think we should probably end it here. So for now, goodbye my friends, and have a great day. Oh, I didn't even have time to mention how the Mughals believed they were the gods' servants, living in the heavens with their